Finally, one of the most anticipated movies of the year has arrived in theaters. Inside Out 2 has barely premiered, and I've already brought an analysis for you on everything we've seen and haven't seen in this new movie from Pixar. Hello, beautiful people. And without further ado, let's get straight to this analysis summary. Attention, this video contains spoilers about the movie, so if you haven't watched it yet or don't want to know what happens, I suggest you check out other videos on the channel for now. But let's get into it, shall we? The movie starts with Riley on a skating rink, playing hockey with her school friends, and as always, doing really well. This catches the attention of the high school coach who is in the audience watching the games. At the end of the game, she invites Riley and her two best friends to a hockey camp. Yes, a new element in this film is that Riley has friends, are shown as inseparable friends, and they possibly met sometime after the events of the first movie. The cool thing about this sequel is that they didn't leave Riley's head as we already knew it. Many new concepts were introduced. The first concept shown to us is the belief lines, where emotions can take those emotion orbs via an elevator to a kind of river where the orbs float and create belief threads, which make Riley who she is. But the changes don't stop there. On the eve of the camp, Riley's mind begins to literally change. While the emotions we already know, joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust, are sleeping, an alarm starts ringing at Riley's control panel. A button, called puberty, that was introduced to us at the end of the first movie, starts acting up. Although Joy tries to get rid of it by throwing it away from the base, things aren't over as some workers arrive, breaking everything and preparing the place for the arrival of new emotions. The next morning, Riley wakes up hypersensitive. Even the slightest touch on the control panel makes her react exaggeratedly, being rude to her parents, then crying out of nowhere, and so on. But soon she calms down and gets ready for the camp. During the trip, while talking to her friends, she discovers that the two have moved to another school for high school. This is where new emotions arise: anxiety, envy, boredom, and shame. In the beginning, anxiety seems to be helping Riley more than any other emotion, but of course, we, the audience, know what anxiety really entails, so we're cautious from the start. Anyway, the camp begins and Riley starts, and I made many videos theorizing about the relationship between the two, even suggesting a romance. But Riley is still quite young, and we didn't get many indications that they might become a couple in the future. Then things start to go wrong. Riley decides to swap her best friends for the new school girls, fearing that if she doesn't make it to the school's hockey team, she won't have friends. It's a silly fear, but remember, she is being controlled by anxiety. And when anxiety notices the lack of cooperation from the old emotions, she decides to trap them in a glass jar and take them to Riley's secrets. This part of the movie is simply brilliant. We discover that Riley still likes a children's cartoon, a clear nod to Dora the Explorer, with a strange rabbit protagonist who breaks the fourth wall just like Dora. But instead of a backpack, he has a fanny pack. This movie is elite. Inside the vault is also a video game character whose special attack is to curl up like an armadillo, and a character that is a gigantic dark secret helping the emotions escape the jar. The fanny pack shows them 3 objects and asks which one is the most useful, very Dora the Explorer style. They blow up the vault door to escape. The same police officers from the first movie show up to prevent their escape, but the video game character uses his super attack, causing a domino effect that traps all the policemen in one of the local vaults. Just a little note, Disgust becomes infatuated with this character. Could there be a romance in the third movie? The plan now is to reach the depths of Riley's mind and try to recover her true self, which anxiety has removed and discarded. Meanwhile, we see Riley trying to fit in at all costs, fearing she will be alone in high school. She even changes teams and stops hanging out with her best friends. It's fascinating to see how they handle the entire movie with metaphors that are the purest truth. We see Riley trying to be someone she's not, controlled by anxiety, nervous about the changes, and it's easy to identify with this. It's a movie that speaks directly to its audience, saying, "You are changing. This is normal. It happens to everyone, but it will pass." The high school girls even show Riley a red notebook from the coach, with notes about all the girls. That same night, with anxiety still in control, Riley can't sleep, imagining the worst possible scenarios. But Joy and the other emotions discover where these bad thoughts are coming from and encourage the workers drawing bad scenarios to create good things, temporarily resolving the issue. However, anxiety gets the idea to spy on that notebook, which contains all the players' information. That's what she does. She sneaks into the school, reads the notebook, and discovers the coach thinks she's not ready yet. Meanwhile, the emotions are still trying to return to the command center. They even send Sadness through a tube. She hides and watches everything happening to Riley, dominated by anxiety. On their way to the depths of Riley's mind, they encounter some cool concepts, the first being brainstorm, a hurricane-like storm. The second is thought flow, which I found very cool. It's like a little river carrying everything that passes through Riley's mind. There's also the sarcasm abyss, and so forth. With Riley completely dominated by anxiety, she starts playing but, despite scoring goals and doing very well, fails to notice when she ends up hitting one of her old friends. She receives a penalty, sits for 2 minutes on a bench, and experiences what I consider to be an anxiety attack. Inside her mind, anxiety is giving so many rounds of commands that it creates an orange hurricane, preventing anyone from getting close to the control panel. Joy, sadness, fear, and disgust reach the depths of Riley's mind, recover her sense of self, and use the cartoon's fanny pack to create an explosion that launches many orbs towards the lake that contains the belief threads. When finally all emotions are back in Riley's head, it seems like there's no salvation anymore. It is Joy who manages to penetrate the hurricane created by anxiety and rescues Riley. But trying to restore the old Riley doesn't seem to fit anymore. Then, all those orbs that caused the avalanche and fell into the lake also become belief orbs and create a more complex perception of who Riley is, transforming her mind and potentially changing her behavior in the future. In the end, we see Joy being somewhat attracted to the control panel, subtly indicating that she has finally developed emotional intelligence. The movie then has a time jump to Riley already in high school, with her hockey friends waiting for the list of new team members. Although the movie ends without a direct answer about the trial, we see Riley looking at her phone happily in the final scene, possibly indicating she made the team. Overall, the movie was very well received. I was worried they might ruin everything with a poorly made sequel, but it turned out to be a masterpiece. I still have some questions that weren't clarified in the movie. For example, what happens to these emotions when one becomes an adult? Why didn't we see the emotions in other characters' minds in the first movie? Are they better controlled and isolated? Where exactly do they stay? Are there other emotions that might appear with behavioral changes? For instance, we see nostalgia appear twice in the movie only for comedic relief. He comes out of a little door, says a phrase or two, and leaves. But what is behind that door? Could there be more emotions that don't play significant roles and pop out occasionally? I'm curious if they will address that in the newly announced Disney Plus series. So, what did you think of the movie? Was it what you expected, or did it surpass your expectations? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.